What is going on, guys? Winter Kills here, and welcome back to another post-commentary duel video. We've got Invoked Mekk Knight versus Phantom Knight, Burning Abyss, PK Fire, whatever you want to call it. Important thing to take note here is that this PK Fire build of mine that I just recently picked up again because Cherubini being announced and everything is post-Dart Neostorm. So Cherubini is in here, and assuming not too much change comes towards the way of Invoked Mekk Knight down the line, this is basically both decks post-Dart Neostorm. I don't see any foreseeable support that Invoked Mekk Knight is getting along that lines. I mean, I guess we have the Mekk Knight Link 4, but mainly for this matchup, I would just say this is just BA being played with Cherubini for this specific matchup because I did pick up the deck recently, but I just don't really want to play it TCG legal at the moment because I just don't enjoy it that much, and playing it this way with Cherubini reminds me how it used to be played back when I used to play it when I was at full power around 2015, early 2015 era. So yeah, just wanted to get that out of the way. Also, don't forget to check out our sponsor, Imperium Duelist. More information on that in the description below, where you can get playmats and sleeves like the one we are using here in this video. And so you see the Cherubini play getting made there, basically allowing me to Foolish Burial any level 3. I think I sent the Edgem Sabres to help complete a Dante, and then just basic BA shenanigans, Seer getting attached to summon Graph, milling 3. I believe I milled a Fiendish Rhino Warrior, and you see I banished the Cloak, Phantom Knights of Cloak, to go ahead and search a copy of what I believe to be was Boots, and now linking away the Cherubini and the Graph, because I usually find when you can't end double Dante or Dante and Beatrice with Cherubini, you can often just link away Cherubini and one other BA to go into Rusty Bardiche to go ahead and get a double Fogblade set by sending Boots and setting a Fogblade, banishing Boots, grabbing another Fogblade. But I happen to open an additional Fogblade. I go into Beatrice there before end phase because I almost forgot to. Might as well have triple Fogblade and a Farfa negation, or not a negation but interruption if you will. But of course Kaiju Slumber is at 3, and there is one of those copies that he opened. We've been playing 2 currently. But Slumber's activated. I chained Beatrice to send Skarm by detaching Dante. And I'm just getting all my effects ready to activate here. When first, really, what should be resolving is the Slumber, at least how I think it would activate. Because he does say he does have a called by in response for the Seer, when the target that Dante would be adding back, which would be Seer. And I think at this point it's justifiable to hit the Seer over the Dante, because if you get rid of the one Seer, you don't have to worry about Seer for the rest of the game, which is a pretty big blow to my side. So he'll give me Gamma Seal, he'll give me Jizukiru, and of course Beatrice is going to proc, summoning Pilgrim from the extra deck. And I didn't have my Pilgrim yet, and I didn't have a proxy made for this video. I completely forgot about it, so I just had to put this picture of Pilgrim up on the screen for now. Hopefully that will suffice. And he does try to mind control, but he can't actually mind control either target because Pilgrim cannot be targeted, and you can only control one Kaiju monster, so it's a bit of a weird interaction there where he can't actually take either of my monsters with mind control. And he's going to just go ahead and activate Pot of Desires instead. Banish 2, and I believe he ended up banishing a lot of Mekk Knights off of that Desires. It wasn't too good, for his Mekk Knight engine, but did get him into some other pieces that he needed to see. And unfortunately for me, for my Dante Pilgrim, I don't have a Burning Abyss in hand to end the turn with, or at least to have sort of as an interruption. If I had like a Farfa in my hand or something like that, that'd be really, really helpful. But he's going to go ahead and summon Purple Nightfall here, and then summon Indigo Eclipse. My bad. Summon Indigo Eclipse after the summon of Purple Nightfall here. And going to go into battle phase. Now, I don't want to lose my Pilgrim, because that would just not be fun. I want to sort of keep this on the board as sort of as a way to gain advantage and do whatever with next turn. So I go ahead and Fogblade the Jizukiru, so that cannot attack. And then he's going to, move on. And Purple Nightfall is going to run over Gamma Seal for 300, dropping me down to 77. And then main phase 2, he's going to just use Purple Nightfall and go ahead and search for a Blue Sky and summon Blue Sky. And I really don't want him to get 2 searches, so I have to use another Fogblade there. Fogblade, will of course negate that blue sky. And we all know he's got an Alistair in hand, but we wasn't expecting the third Fog Blade. Now, having triple negations here might seem really nice, but at this point I can't attack his blue sky, his Jizukiru, or his Alistair the Invoker. So I can only run over his Indigo Eclipse at this point, which might prove to be a little awkward later on. And while the bardiche combo, you know, with, you know, sending boots is nice and all, a lot of times after you burn those first turn resources, you know, with the Phantom Knight engine, you really don't have too much gas in the tank afterwards, so to speak, for turns later on in late game. The Burning Abyss engine sort of does most of the work after that point. But I do like the Phantom Knight engine a lot in here. I know a lot of people play Danger Sekka. I don't have, it's not in the budget currently to sort of buy Snecks and buy Nessies, so I went with a more of a cheaper option. And I do really like playing the Phantom Knight engine because, you know, just the Fog Blades are nice access to over Sekka. Being able to play Called By and rank up Magic Astral Force like I am, just allowing for better first turn plays, especially with more Dante Turbo-esque type build being played with Cherubini and all that type of stuff. It's not your average TCG legal build, I know that, but I've done some experimenting on stream as well, trying to play more of a pure big BA monster mash type build, and that build has proven some success, but the Phantom Knight engine as a whole does add a nice access of play along with it. And since I did send Skarm off that Beatrice at the start of the turn, that Skarm will resolve here and grab me Tour Guide. And he's deciding not to really do anything else here at the end of his turn, just leaving all the monsters there in their respective positions. And I'm going to go ahead and draw for turn. With Tour Guide in hand, obviously, but this Pilgrim is sort of taking up my extra monster zone at the moment, which is a little problematic since I do have link plays being readily available after the Tour Guide does go through. But one thing I was going to mention, even with Cherubini, I feel like BA is still a very viable going second deck because, you know, you can go into Borosword, Dante so very easily, or just sort of Borosword and Dante and maybe another rank 3 if you open up really good. It just does have that option, but its going first plays are almost just as good as its going second plays because you can just end, you know, like Cherubini, Dante, and Beatrice, or Cherubini, you know, Dante, double Dante, or Rusty Bardiche, Dante, or Beatrice, and, you know, triple Fog Blade like we saw here. But it's just going to try and capitalize at this point, which is going to be a bit of a difficult strategy. Basically, I have, you know, Tour Guide, Rhino Warrior, all this stuff. It's nice. And I do have an Engine Sabres engraved here, which I do believe I end up using because I have no other choice but to go into a Link 4 because I can only attack over his Indigo Eclipse at this point because the rest of his monsters are being targeted by Fog Blade, and that's sort of hurting me a little bit. But like I said, I think the Phantom Knight engine in here at the time being, at least post-art Neostorm, works very well. I'm still playing Gallus and things of that nature. I'm also playing Crane. Like I said, this is more of a budget option, considering the fact, you know, in the foreseeable future, Nessie and Snack aren't going to be reprinted anytime soon. I just think this is a more budget-friendly and viable option all at the same time. So I go into Borreload because I feel like that's going to be best against this field since I can't attack the rest of his stuff. So I Borreload just takes Indigo Eclipse, and I also drop the Jizukiru by 500 permanently. And I believe he did have a response on the, you know, activation of the Borreload effect, or at least the attack declaration, to chain Indigo to move Blue Sky before it gets taken, so he can open up that column for himself next turn. And a bit of a weird cut there, I do apologize, but Gamma Seal does come down on top of Borreload, and he does, you know, remove that problem very easily. Mind control, all of these things going right into the Mekk Knight of the Morningstar here, which does prove to be still a really good card all around. You guys might have seen that Shadal versus Invoked Mekk Knight, you know, duel. And if you haven't, I highly recommend checking it out. It should be annotated at the end of the video if I remember. But Morningstar does prove a lot of times just to be a decent link 2 to go into, especially when you can search Succession or the trap card like Secrets. Just a decent follow-up play for later on. But right now, his Blue Sky and his Jizakura are still fog-bladed. And his Jizakura is down by 500 attack permanently from the Borlo Dragon. And he's just trying right now to figure out how to sort of go about dismantling my field. And he's just going to go ahead and link into a Boral Sword. And that both of my Fog Blades will go with it. Since they did leave the field, they'll get destroyed. Borlo's going to attack into Gamma Seal, cutting its attack in half. And gaining it for itself. And swinging in, you know, for 3k and then 25. It would be game, but luckily I remember I have a Fog Blade in my grave that will revive the Rusty Bardiche here before I take too much damage and die. I'll be left at 200 life points because, like I said, 300 or 3,000 over the Gamma Seal after he cuts the attack, 2,500 direct from Purple Nightfall, and then 2,000 because I believe Boral Sword would be at 41 after robbing the attack from Gamma Seal. So, you know, Bardiche is at 21. The Boral Sword's at 41, so I'll take 2k, dropping me down to a measly 200 life points. Now, I'm not sure what I ended up drawing for turn here, and I believe I might have a Called by the Grave set. And I do have Fog Blades in Grave readily available to be able to use, but the best thing I think I could probably do here would be to sort of like Rusty Bardiche, bring him back out via Fog Blade, and then go into per se like a rank 3. But I believe my top deck there was Psychic Wielder, and I had a Libic in hand and a set Called by, and they just were not going to do me any good. I could have revived Rusty Bardiche and summon Wielder, but you know, if my Libic tries to hit the field, it's just going to die with no targets left in hand. So just have to scoop it up there to save a little time. And now we're just going to go ahead into game 2. And he's going to get started, you know, with Meltdown, Alistair, and then a Pot of Desires to follow that up. A bit better of a Desires, hopefully, for him here in game 2. And at this point, if he can get any columns made, he could get a Purple Nightfall off. But we'll see him go into Mekk first, using a Purple Nightfall on an Alistair. And then Invocation is going to get itself back into the deck by adding Alistair back to his hand. So he is set up for another Alistair Surge next turn, which is something I have to take into account. But this time, I believe I opted to go second because I wanted to sort of try to use that push power that I know Burning Abyss has, especially with Cherubini, and try to sort of take advantage of that and just see if I have a better chance here going against Invoked Mekk Knight going second, because I believe I do, because the fact that the Mekk Knight engine is greatly diminished in its power going first with Mekk Knight Invoked, I figured it would be best just to go second and sort of hope that he does have a hard time creating columns. But as you see here, he did open up very well and is able to sort of maneuver around, you know, the Mekk Knight engine's ability to thrive off opponent's card. But you see he ends up going to Morningstar, grabbing World Legacy Succession, discarding a Blue Sky to get back his Mekk. So now he's got a link to Morningstar, Mekk, and one set, and a Purple Nightfall returning, I believe, in the standby phase. And he opened 2 Purple Nightfall. I think he drew a second one off of the Desires. Fortunately, Blue Sky is just really bad going first, and that's just how things are. But not as bad as milling a Fog Blade off your Galaxy Star Beast. And so that's unfortunate. That's going to get destroyed and sent to the grave. So I'm going to have to be forced to normal summon Graph and sort of do standard BA play, especially summon Barbar from hand. And at this point, try to go into a Link 2, which of course is going to be Cherubini. No other Link 2 to go into. None of this Underclock, Taker, Beatrice stuff. Like, I don't know. I've tried to play BA currently and stuff, and it just seems a little clunky for me. And I just enjoy playing with Cherubini so much more. So that's hence why I'm opting to play it until it's basically released, which is nice though. I'll have a heads up on testing with the card at least, and I'll know all the ins and outs, hopefully, and just be well versed once the card gets here. Just all I have to do is change you know, the proxies out for the real card, and that's all I really have to do. No other adjusting required. But yeah, since you guys heard me say earlier, you know, I drew wielder for turn. Yes, I am playing the psychics. I believe I'm playing 2 tracker and 2 wielder because they just help to make rank 3 plays, link plays, especially for cherubini, since it just requires 2 level 3s. Just overall, I think the psychic engine is super helpful. Obviously, synchros, exceeds, and links, like I said. And I think all around they just fit into the deck very well. Now, Cherubini is going to activate, and it does send for cost, and it gains the attack of the monster, the level 3 monster it sends. So I decided to send my favorite pair of scissors, that Jim Sabres, to the grave, and he's going to negate the Cherubini, which actually has some relevance because Cherubini can protect any monster points to from destruction by card effect. So that does save a lot of your BAs from killing themselves and help set up other plays, but he does get rid of it, and I'm forced to sort of just go into a Dante afterwards. Dante's going to detach Seer, milling 3, milling a Libic, and I believe maybe a Tracker, and an Alec, or something else. I'm not really sure which it was. But Seer, of course, is going to revive Graph. And even if I did mill an Alec, which I believe it might have been, it was hard to tell, but I could have negated, of course, his Mekaba or his Morningstar, but at that point it's just too late, because there's really not too much else I'm doing this turn other than leaving Dante and Graph on board, just trying to float. No other BA in hand to you know, go into Beatrice here at the end phase. And this is one of those reasons why I was thinking about going back to playing sort of a big BA, playing tons of BA monsters, even if they're not the most useful of names, just using them as names in general just to summon to the field. Going back to playing multiple Rubiks, Calcabs, Alex, Barbars, even Cogna for that reason. Just even, you know, set up cool plays with Good and Evil, the Burning Abyss, and Fire Lake, and all these things, because I think Fire Lake could still on its own be a very decent card. I mean, if you just look up the setup that I have currently, that set card could very well be a Fire Lake, and that could allow me to clear my Dante and my Grapha, or my Graph, not Grapha, but to blow up all 3 monsters on his field in response to this Purple Nightfall activation. And I know damn well he doesn't have a trap card in hand to negate unless he got really lucky and drew into World Legacy Secrets, which I don't think he ended up doing. He does try to activate Purple Nightfall, though, however, and I do have a called by it, but he's going to ditch the Interrupted Kaiju Slumber from his hand to negate so his Purple Nightfall can go through. So that's why you see that Called by the Grave getting banished there. But like I said, I have tons of ideas going forward for BA, since it's like one of my favorite decks of all time. I was playing it heavily late 2014 to early 2015, January, February format, you know, right when Dark Law came out and all these things. Played it very intensely, got rid of it after that, and haven't had the deck since. And now just picking up here early 2019. So it's been about 4 years since I've been able to play Burning Abyss again. And I'm just so happy to be able to play it again, especially with Cherubini being on the way, at least hopefully Cherubini being on the way. Just super excited. So many things I want to try. I might try a 50 card build, like I said, with more BAs. Still playing the Phantom Knight engine because I still like how they interact together. I think the bardiche play with the Fog Blades is too good to give up. And it is a budget alternative to Dangers for those who, like me, don't really want to invest into the Dangers when there's so many other cards that I need to pick up to just play other decks in general. So you'll see another Mekaba coming down, and another Alistair coming down to get another search as well. And setting one card here to look like he's going to create a column in the zone that Graph is in, summoning Red Moon and banishing Purple Nightfall to destroy Graph. And Graph is going to attempt to activate here to summon a BA from deck. He's going to ditch Effect Valor for one of his Mekabas to negate and banish Graph. So now I believe Seer and Graph is banished. I'm not entirely sure. I think Seer might have got banished game 1, but now I have Graph being banished, and there's really no way to get Graph back at this point. So he's just going to, after that, link into a link 4, and it's going to be Borlo Dragon. It could have been Boral Sword, to be honest, but Borlo is not a bad card to go into for him in this matchup. Even though both of his extra monster zones are taken up and can't take the card like he would normally do, he can still have the very viable option of just having a monster that I can't be targeted by monster effects, which is very hard for BA to deal with. And I realize a Farfa could have gone off there, but I can't banish the Borreload, and banishing one of the Mekkabas doesn't do me any good. Dante effect still goes off. Luckily, I'm able to go into a Gallus play here, getting me into, you know, Cherubini with Cloak. And going to ahead and use Fogblade here to summon back the Cloak. Normal summoning Seer in a zone that Cherubini points to, so he can't be destroyed by card effects. But I do have to use a Boral Sword because both of our extra decks share the same Borreload and Boral Sword. Because I don't need to buy an extra copy of Borreload and Sword just so each extra deck has their own, because Boral Sword's like $90 right now. But, you know, just had to grab one to sort of borrow, so to speak. And the Scarm is being sent because there was a cut made where I had sent the Scarm off the Cherubini and gone into a different play, where I decided I probably should just go into Boral Sword and Dante just to try to clear more of his things. He does use that Borreload there last second to drop the Boral Sword by 500, so he doesn't take as much damage, 500 less to be exact. End phase Scarm gets searched in the tour guide. He does waste no time dropping this Gamma Seal on top of my Boral Sword, and Purple Nightfall returning, banishing Slumber now to go ahead and grab a Jizukiru, putting that on his field with ease. So that just gets him a free Kaiju. You obviously could save it to remove something later on, or you could just be, you know, a free 3,300 beat stick on your field to sort of go to town with. And you will need that because Dante does have 2,500 defense, and of course Purple Nightfall and Mekkaba both have 2,500, so he's going to have to attack with Jizukiru first over Dante, Purple Nightfall over Gamma Seal, and then a direct attack with Mekkaba, dropping me down to 200. I'm going to add back Seer with Dante, of course, the usual suspect to be added back. And he does try to use Purple Nightfall here, but I believe he has no Mekk Knight targets left in deck, so that's why that cut happens there, putting that Purple Nightfall back. And normal summoning tour guide to get my turn started. And I summon the Seer from hand instead of going from deck, because there's really no reason to, in my opinion. Gonna mill 3, mill Astral, rank up Magic, Gloves, and Rhino Warrior. And I also have a Seer effect to activate too, so I go Rhino Warrior 2, Seer 1. Rhino Warrior is going to send Scarm for end phase, just trying to get any sort of resources I can to my hand. And I'm going to summon out Dante off of the Seer. This is where I just wish of one of those times where I think if I was playing more BA, and again, here, another Fire Lake setup could have been a possibility, but he goes into, you know, Purgatrio here, right here at the very end, with an Ash that I believe he top decked, and that's going to do there's the handshake, and Invoked Mekk Knight taking the match 2-0 against post-Dark Neostorm Burning Abyss. Now, of course, you know, this isn't the best build. I don't claim this to be the best build of, you know, Burning Abyss, nor do I claim to be the best Burning Abyss player. I realize it's been probably a very long time since I've uploaded any of my own Burning Abyss content. Like I said, I think the last Burning Abyss deck profile I uploaded was in February of 2015. So it's almost 4 years ago. I'm trying to get back into the deck, like I said. Very excited to play it going forward. Don't know if I want to play Phantom Knight BA like PK Fire, or if I want to play an even bigger BA engine and play cards like Fire Lake and just sort of do Monster Mash with more traps, and not just playing Fogblade, but playing Fire Lake and Traveler and all of these things. Still a lot of room I want to do to experiment. So, and if you want to see set experimenting being tested live, just follow me on Twitch, and make sure to tune in on Saturdays, Sundays, and Mondays around 7 p.m. to watch me test some, and if not all, of the decks that I usually play on the channel, and update frequently just to see how I go about modifying the deck as time goes on with changing formats and new cards and things like that. So I highly recommend you guys follow on Twitch and on Discord and Facebook and Twitter, all these things for notifications on when I go live. And yeah, overall, just appreciate you guys' support. Really, really do. We're almost at 8,000 subscribers, which is absolutely nuts. It's just crazy to think we're almost at 8,000, let alone almost at 10,000. You guys are just insane. You continue to surprise me every day with the amount of support and everything. Yeah, it's just appreciated. Thank you guys so much, and I hope you enjoyed the video. So always want to kill signing out. We'll see you in the next one.